Welcome, everyone. Causaly has always been about helping scientists make better decisions. That's getting them to the right evidence so that the call that they make is the right one. But what's really changed recently is the opportunity to do that in a very systematic fashion. So, taking your hardest, most repeated decisions that a team might face and being able to solve them the exact same way every time, instead of needing to rebuild and redo all that work from scratch. In essence, that's what a causally solution is. So it's the science, it's the workflow a team runs, as well as their own data, all brought together around a single decision. This is the Causally Solution series, where we unpack one of these solutions each episode. And today it's the TPP, or Target Product Profile. I'm Kaz, your host, one of our market expansions and strategic solutions leads. And I'm joined by Isra, our VP of Markets and Solutions, as well as Jumana, a senior scientific solutions consultant. Isra and Jumana, it's great to have you.
It's great to be here, Kaz.
Thanks for having us.
So, Isra, a therapeutic area head lives with these TPPs constantly. Their teams are building them, they take them into governance, they're making calls off of them. But what's actually the hardest part about this whole process?
Yeah, a TPP is a blueprint for what your asset is trying to be across clinical, regulatory, commercial, market access. And the hard part isn't necessarily gathering the data and writing it, it's defending it. So you take it into a review and someone asks, why are we still aiming for this profile? Why did we rule out that comparator? Is this efficacy bar still credible? And the reasoning behind those choices is scattered across old slides, spreadsheets, people who've moved teams. So often the most consequential decisions end up being the ones that are the least well supported. And that's the part that teams feel.
Jumana, today you're partnering really closely with these teams. Does what Isra was talking about kind of align with what you're hearing on the ground?
Yes, very much so. And it starts with the build itself. So, for example, putting a single TPP together, it can take anywhere between 4 to 6 months. Now, the evidence is going to be spread across sources, systems, and teams. So a lot of effort goes into gathering that evidence and getting every function aligned on what should be included and what it means. That's a big challenge, as is. But the harder problem is what comes after. Once you've done all of that work, you still have to keep the TPP alive.
Right. So everybody's worst nightmare is a competitor readout happens on the eve of your next portfolio meeting.
Yeah, exactly. And now imagine that the competitor readout is a stronger phase 3, much stronger than what anyone expected. Suddenly, the team has to revisit everything, the efficacy bar, the endpoint, the comparator set, the value story. Because that readout just changed what good enough means for you and your own asset. You cannot just afford to miss a signal like that.
Right. So, Isra, when this TPP finally does reach the decision maker it's built for, like the TA head, what is it that they're really probing for when they're reading through this?
So usually it's not just about the document, right? They're stress testing the thinking behind it. Is the unmet need real? Do we have the science to deliver against it? Can this asset be the standard of care that will exist at launch? Are the endpoints solid? Are there opportunities for any others that may reinforce the value story? They're usually trying to discharge the risk stage by stage. And here's the question that sometimes catches teams out. What's actually changed since the last version? And what are the core assumptions that went into that change? Are we still confident in this profile? Those are the kind of questions programs typically get back to killed on.
So that's what the TA heads here are really probing for. So what is it then that helps the individual teams during some of these meetings?
I think what these teams really want is to walk into that review with really solid scientific and commercial reasoning, able to show what they decided and why they decided it, and what's changed since last time. Yep. What you don't want is to be reconstructing it from old slides and memory the night before the pre-reads need to be circulated.
So let's make this concrete. For the TPP here specifically, what is it that Causaly has actually built?
Well, at its simplest, it's a living TPP that lives in Causaly and updates as the evidence moves, the artifact that can actually answer those questions in the room. Most of the manual effort in a TPP sits in one layer, gathering the evidence behind every dimension of the profile: the competitive landscape at launch, achievable efficacy benchmarks, safety picture, regulatory pathway, market access implications. Each one of these dimensions draws on a different evidence base. It has to be current and it has to come together into a single view that every function can read. That's the part that Causaly can effectively bring together.
And as you can imagine, for internal teams, that's quite a big deal. Instead of spending weeks buried in data, they can rapidly pull together all of this information in one unified view of the whole package.
Yeah, exactly. Now, imagine having this view, including the strategic positioning, the indication, the target population, efficacy targets measured against existing and emerging benchmarks right at your fingertips. Understanding where your asset sits against a competitive context on safety and tolerability targets, competitive trial timelines, that's so important. On top of that, you can also layer in your internal clinical data to see exactly how your asset stacks up. And we're working to bring in more. So the evolving competitive landscape, explicit differentiation strategies, and more.
And what's important here is that every claim you make, it's grounded.
Right.
So when the market moves, you don't have to start over. You see what's changed, you update the view, but the rationale remains attached to the evidence throughout the process. So in that review meeting, the answer to why this profile or what's changed since the last time, it's all right there, right? It's connected to the data that it came from.
That's exactly right, Jemana. So we automate the evidence gathering so that the asset teams can spend their time on the judgment calls that they're so good at, not just the research underneath them.
Right. So we've talked through the TPP, but how would a team actually get access to something like this? Is it something that just gets switched on?
Yeah, so this is a product we're really excited about what we're building. But you can imagine that the TPP solution isn't just one size fits all. It depends on your strategy and your posture. So, just as an example, are you trying to be first to market or best in class? That alone changes the efficacy bar, the comparators, the whole profile that you're aiming for. So, what we bring is the partnership to understand how you think about that and now ensure that the product is shaped so that it works the way that you do.
Right. So when you say that shaped so it works the way that you do, what does that actually mean and look like in practice?
That's a really good question because I think that comes down to three things. So, first, you have the scientific depth. Our science and product teams, they speak the language of your teams and your scientists, which means that we can capture your scientific process and method. Second, encoding that logic, taking your strategy, building it into the solution so that what you get reflects your view and not just a generic template.
Mhm.
And finally, there's the flexibility. So the solution lives in Causally, but it's also open by design. It can connect out through MCPs, APIs, so that it can also fit how you work and where you already work.
Right. So you could sort of consider this TPP solution as being more of a partnership, not just a tool that gets handed over. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a product that is shaped to how your best people think and work.
So the TPP is one piece for sure, very useful, impactful piece. But what's sort of the bigger picture here?
Yeah, so the TPP is just one example, and it's the start of things to come. It's part of a broader set of decision support solutions we're building at Causally across the development lifecycle. And the goal is the same everywhere. It's structured, traceable evidence behind the decisions that really matter so your teams can defend it.
Right. And for everybody out there listening and watching, if this sounds like some of the decisions that you're currently living with, we'd love to talk. Please scan the QR code on screen or find us at causaly.com. Isra and Jumana, it's been wonderful having you.
Thank you, Kaz.
Thanks, Kaz.